Good morning, everyone, and welcome in to a game day edition of WST Sunday Live. Hope you're all having a great weekend so far, and thank you for joining us right here on WST Sunday Live. The Jets taking on the San Jose Sharks today. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but first we're going to talk about the game on Friday against the Ducks, where the Jets lost 5-4 in overtime. We're going to talk a little trade deadline. It's less than a week away. Next Friday, March 6th, is the NHL trade deadline. So this is our last Sunday edition, or our last Sunday show before the trade deadline. So we're going to get all of our final thoughts in on the trade deadline, which is this Friday. And then, of course, it's a game day edition to kick off March 1st. Happy March, everyone, and welcome in to another edition of WST Sunday Live. We'll break down the Sharks game a little bit later on as well, but let's bring in my co-host here on WST Sunday Live. Lyss, how is your weekend going so far? I came back from Vancouver and the weather's not great, but how's your weekend going so far?
It's good. It's been good. I definitely the aggressive schedule shift of 9 a.m. games to 9 p.m. games has been a bit
Yep.
interesting this week, but could never be happier than when Jets hockey is going on. So happy to be back. And my weekend was good. Yesterday, I sat in the corner and rocked, waiting for this afternoon's puck drop. So looking forward to Jets Sharks today.
Love it.
How's
Yeah.
yours? How's yours? I know you just got back from a trip. How was your
Yeah.
trip? Was your
I
trip good?
Trip was good. Trip was good. If people didn't watch Wednesday night, if you're a loyal WSA Sunday Live listener, you knew this about a month or month and a half ago, but I picked an absolute banger of a hockey game months ago as the one road game I'd cover this year, Jets Canucks coming out of the break. So I was there. And yeah, my girlfriend and I were in Vancouver and it was awesome. And I know like I'm speaking to an audience and me included, by the way, where it's like minus 22 right now in Winnipeg. But as soon as I went to Vancouver, it was like plus 10 and sunny the whole week. It was amazing. I know it's raining all the time there, so very, very grateful that we actually got some good weather out in Vancouver and a pretty good hockey game too. All things considered, it was the 28th versus 32nd ranked teams in the National Hockey League going into it. It wasn't a bad game. It wasn't a bad game for sure, as Cole Perfetti scored the OT winner. But let's move on to Friday night's game. I know you and Remus did the post game because I was 30,000 feet in the air during that one.
Cinematic.
Yes.
Incredible. Best one I've ever done, personally.
So, yes, thank you to both of you for filling in. Really appreciate that. What was kind of the initial takeaway for people that maybe didn't watch that post game on the Friday night loss to the Anaheim Ducks? Multiple blown leads, overtime again, an issue for the Jets. They get scored on with 12 seconds left. What was your kind of initial takeaway from that game?
Yeah, I initially didn't hate it, to be honest with you. Like, there were a couple parts of that game that I really liked. And I think the big thing for me that I thought was interesting was that at the beginning of the game in particular, in the second period, not so much in the third, but in the second, which is impressive for this iteration of the Winnipeg Jets, I thought they did well in the fast rush trading chances style of game.
Mm-hmm.
We talk all the time about how old and slow the Winnipeg Jets are, but even right off the opening faceoff, it's like odd man rush going one way, odd man rush going the other way, and then another one. Like, you go 3 for 3 on your first 3 possessions of the game and stuff. And I was like, interesting. We'll see how this goes if the Winnipeg Jets can kind of go tit for tat with a very chaotic, unstructured Ducks team. So I think that it was really interesting to see how good I thought they looked kind of across the board, when knowing that, there's a narrative going around that they can't play that style of game because it doesn't work for their personnel and it's not how you want to do things and everything. And I understand that there are huge risks to running that kind of chaotic style of game, but I thought the Jets players actually looked pretty good. So I kind of liked the forwards in particular. This is something Ruben and I talked about on the postgame show. I liked a lot of the forwards in that game. Can't say the same so much for most of the defense in that one, but I liked a lot of the forwards in that game. So that was kind of a fun game to watch at 9 p.m. on a Friday, when you're like, oh my gosh, please don't be like a slog of a neutral zone game against the Los Angeles Kings kind of thing. So we were treated to a pretty entertaining affair.
Yeah, no kidding. Actually, again, the narrative that you brought up there, I think, is well earned, that this team is like old and slow and can't play against the faster teams in the National Hockey League. And I did think they caught up. Again, I was watching from a distance, but the first period I thought was great. They came out and it was very typical Jets where they start the game maybe firing. There's a nice 10-minute, 15-minute stretch where they're clearly the better team, and then it just kind of falls apart for a stretch of the game. And they fell apart for that stretch of the game. Was kind of late second period. Trouba scores that goal through traffic. And then the third period, the final 25 minutes of the game, they gave up 5 goals. And just as an aside list, you just knew Connor Hellebuck was giving up 5. Coming off,
it was
you just
the
knew.
Most scheduled, like,
you just knew
multiple goals against performance I've ever seen on planet Earth. I don't sports bet, but if I did,
of his life against Canada, the Olympics, like, it doesn't get tougher than that, right? You just knew the Anaheim Ducks on a Friday night were gonna light him up. And like, look, I know it's like the quality of the defense in front of him is clearly a stark difference.
Going from Team USA's decor to top pairing Logan Stanley Dylan DeMello, who has it better than him.
But I mean, they gave up 42 shots in the gold medal game too. And then last night, or not last night, Friday night, they gave up 38 shots or 39 shots or something along those lines. So I don't know. It was, and then the Ryan Poehling goal. I don't know if you and Remus talked about that at all. It was
extensively.
It was bad.
It's the one we talked about the most, to be honest with you.
It was bad from like the perspective of the forwards and the defensemen, Dylan Samberg, especially the guy who's like needs to play a tighter gap there. But that's just a very like Ryan Poehling from a bad angle flutter shot over the glove side. Not something that was beating Connor Hellebuck in the gold medal game, but obviously was beating him on Friday night. We also got Elias Salomonson's first NHL career goal list, which I thought was awesome. I had just got on to my flight home and just gotten connection when the Jets like got the puck in the offensive zone, and then Lowry fished it over to Salmonson, and then he scored. And I was like, wow, here we go. This is amazing. So I just barely caught it after missing like a good chunk of that game. But that was awesome to see. Elias Salomson very due for a point list because he didn't have one yet, and he was getting the chances. I mean, I think we could all see that. But a really nice goal too. I mean, he's gotten that exact chance a number of times, like from kind of the edges of the circles, and he just beat Dostal clean. And Dostal made a number of great saves in this game.
Oh yeah, I thought Dostal was great. That's one guy who didn't seem to miss a beat after coming back from the Olympics, where he was also quite good. And I think that, I thought the Jets did a good job of generating multiple types of shots over the course of that game. I think that, I was saying to Remus that I really felt like, and this goes to my point of I liked the forwards in this game more than the defense, was that I thought both teams did a much better job jumping on offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds. So Dostal had a pretty busy night because he was getting a lot of secondary chances kind of coming his way. And so many of those were created by Elias Salomonson's shots and decisions. And so it felt like a matter of time. I don't know how many times I've said to you in the last month, feels like tonight's the night for Elias to get his first point. I've said it to you a couple nights because it has felt like that, right? It feels like a time where he's making the right decisions and all these different isms you want to use about the hockey IQ that are seeming to really catch up to this NHL game pace. And I think that he's been quite excellent in the O-zone for a good stretch of his second call up here. So it was really nice to see him kind of get rewarded in that one where it wasn't like, hold on, how many people ago was the puck touch? Was it maybe his or maybe hitting a couple bodies or something like that? Great shot. And he's been shooting, not a high volume shooter exactly. I think he's been making a lot of great choices when he's shooting the puck. It's not just shooting for the sake of shooting, which is, something we can talk a little bit about if we want to start talking about the first unit power play that we've seen out of the Olympic break or anything like that. So, I've just been really pleased with a lot of what I've seen from the player offensively. And I'd be curious to kind of hear your thoughts on him and Dylan Samberg as a pairing as a whole, just because I think that I've really enjoyed kind of watching them in this very, very short stint that they've had together, because I know we have thoughts about what Salmonson's long-term pipeline should look like for the Winnipeg Jets, and, kind of molding him into the right partner for Josh Morrissey to have probably makes the most sense in the long term. But look, I'm really enjoying what I've seen from him and Dylan Samberg, and my big takeaway from Salo's game was that, he got his first goal and he had a good game, but I didn't think Dylan Samberg was awesome on Friday, and Salmonson still looked fine. So I think that that's a huge positive thing to take a look at. Dylan Samberg is allowed to have one bad game every 20 games, which he does. And it's not much more frequently than that. So very nice to see that his partner was able to, I don't know if thrive is as far as I would go, but have a strong enough game in his absence. He was there physically, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I love the fact that the one post game I'm not on this year was a Dylan Samberg disaster class. Like
So
I was
funny.
watching that game.
Okay, but I will say I did defend his honor on the Ryan Poehling goal just because I was genuinely like, that's a tough one. Like that puck bounced the entire way. Well, tough bounce times a million. Like it was so weird. Like, so I did defend him on that one, but the overtime, a couple other things, not so much.
Yeah. Remus and I have brought up many times on post games, like the sliding on to defend 2-on-1s.
Oh my gosh, Remo was freaking out about that. He was so excited to start chatting.
And like, there are former NHL defensemen online that will say the same thing in terms of like, hey, sliding just takes you out of the play, or they'll counter and say sliding does a great job to both defend the pass and defend the shot, and you're kind of sliding and take like a well-executed slide on a 2-on-1 is probably the best way to defend it, but it's very high risk, high reward. And it was a tough one for Dylan Samberg on that play, especially because he slides and Beckett Seneca just toe drags right around him and picks up his third assist of the night, sliding it backdoor to Chris Kreider, who gives the Ducks the 5-4 win in overtime. But I want to talk about Elias Salmonson for a second, Lyss, because I think you bring up a great point. Like, we're even at a point now where against the Anaheim Ducks, who are in a playoff spot and a very fast, very, offensive-minded team, Dylan Samberg won't look his best, and Salmonson, I thought, still looked great. And the foot speed, to me, especially in a game like that, was on full display, where Anaheim is a rush team. They always have 3 or 4 guys jumping into the rush, going offensively. For him to manage the game as well as he did, even outside of the goal, I thought was great. And not to go back to the Olympics too much, Lyss, but something we saw at the Olympics a lot, or at least I noticed a lot, and something that we noted a lot of, was they load up with the McDavid line. So the forwards are the 3 best forwards in the National Hockey League. But on the blue line, it's Sanheim and Parayko. And that puck makes it to the point and it just dies on those guys' stick. And obviously that's best on best. At the NHL level, those guys can make more offensive plays. But taking that and moving it into kind of a Jets thing with a 21-year-old kind of two-way defenseman, you're not sure if he's more of an offensive guy or a defensive guy quite yet. For him to just be an effective puck toucher in the offensive zone, I think is a massive win at this point, because it's not just the shots that, by the way, he is getting more of them through. He does take a lot of shots from the point, and like that's honestly fine. Some of them are low percentage, but if he gets more and more of them through to the net, then fine by me. But it's the puck touches at the blue line. It's the give and goes. It's the carrying the puck through the neutral zone and hammering it in once you get to the red line. It's all of those little things that make him an effective, like, underrated offensive guy. And then obviously, like, Cole Perfetti feathered a backhand to him the other night, and he was in the middle of the slot because he's jumping up on the rush and he recognizes the right time to do that. That's another big thing Josh Morrissey's awesome at. When's the right time to jump into the rush and all of those things. So these are things that there are learning experiences to come, and we'll see that. And there are plays that he's making that go to show, like, he's still giving the puck away a little bit too much in the defensive zone for my liking. But again, he's not perfect. He's not Cale Makar. He's a 21-year-old defenseman list. And for me, it's been since the second recall and coming back out of the Olympic break, he has been a player that has me excited to watch Winnipeg Jets hockey, because he's a rookie. He's just breaking into the league, and you can see that he's affecting the game in multiple ways. So unless you have any other Elias Salmonson thoughts, or Elias Salmonson, we can move on to the guy that set up the empty net tying goal, Cole Perfetti. And if people remember, Cole Perfetti came back this season against the Anaheim Ducks. That was his first game back. It was months ago. It was, on a random, I think like Thursday night or Wednesday night. The Jets lost 4-1, or it was late Sunday night. It was one of those weird like 9 p.m. Sunday night games. He came back in that game and played like 13 minutes, but we could all see like he did absolutely nothing in that game and then proceeded to do really like absolutely nothing for 2 months. If you go back and watch that game and then go and watch this game, both of which were against the Anaheim Ducks on the road, like it's just so clear that Cole Perfetti is feeling better now. Scott O'Neill has said he doesn't think Cole Perfetti was ever really 100% when he first came back. Cole Perfetti said it. I think it's time we just believe it because he was one of the Jets' best forwards in that game on Friday night. And the spinning no-look pass to set up Kyle Connor for the winner, or not the winner, the tying goal was awesome. And I'd like to see if those two guys have chemistry at 5-on-5 lists. I digress. I'll give you the floor on Cole Perfetti here.
Yeah, I love that player, honestly. Like if there's ever a Cole Perfetti victory lap to take, that's mine. I gotcha. Don't worry about me. Someone will take it and it will be me. I think that there's so much to like about the toolkit that this player provides. And you know, there are so many comments about the foot speed with the player and different stuff. There are so many effective players in the National Hockey League who aren't as fleet of foot as some of the other ones. There's pros and cons to the different things that you can bring to a lineup. And if you're able to kind of use that to your advantage and slow the game down and place the puck and distribute it at kind of a slow and controlled pace, you know, in a bit of a different way, there's a ton of value to be had there if you find the right line mates for that person. And, you know, I think at the beginning of the year, there were so many people were just grasping for answers with the Winnipeg Jets team, right? For much of November, December, January, like people were just, like, you were looking around, looking for something to blame, looking for something to diagnose, looking for something to assess why the season was going so differently for them this year as it kind of was last year. And so a big one was in and around the absence of Nikolai Ehlers, which I have a lot of time for, but I really don't think that we can overstate the importance of what healthy Cole Perfetti and Adam Lowry look like to this team, right? And both of these players coming back from pretty severe mobility injuries that, you know, it's not the same thing as a concussion or, you know, anything kind of upper body, shoulder related that like it doesn't take as long necessarily to reacclimatize to the game speed with those types of injuries, depending on who you are, just because they don't kind of impact the same mechanics of, you know, skate. I'm not saying I'm a skating coach or anything like that, but ankles, hips, come on guys. Like let's be real about what that sort of looks like for how you train, what kind of rehab you can do while you're trying to get back to the speed of the game and all this different stuff. So those guys just needed some time, and it's crazy to see, you know, when the Jets were playing poorly and they are going down the stretch, you know, losing all these games and they couldn't, you know, have those different makers to break games near the end and stuff. It was very difficult when Adam Lowry wasn't winning his matchups handily every single night. And it was difficult when Cole Perfetti wasn't providing a whole ton on kind of the secondary score sheet. And it's just really nice to see, right? Because I think all the things that we've been talking about, you think about how high everyone was on Cole Perfetti for a good chunk of last year, all these different traits and all these different things that he brings to the table, those didn't just go away. And a lot of people, I think, wanted to think they did, and like his name is still in all these like random trade rumors and different stuff where it's like people are still, I think, unsure. And I don't know if the player has earned the benefit of the doubt of being like, oh, everything is going to get significantly better, because, you know, he hasn't had a really long career so far. And even early in his NHL days, it wasn't like he was the most trusted player on the Winnipeg Jets in the Rick Bowness era. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much he continues to grow. I'm like, even if right now this is it from him, I really like this player. I'm having fun watching him. He's been fantastic, but I still think there's more there. And I mean that with the utmost respect, and I mean it as a compliment. Like, I genuinely have so much faith in this player. So it's nice to see him make those really great plays. You know, the overtime winner in Vancouver that you saw, the great pass to bring some life back into that game. And just in general, controlling the heck out of the shot profile on Friday, right? You know, he was not on the ice for almost anything against. Like, I was complaining about how the Winnipeg Jets weren't recovering their own slot very well. Not when he was on the ice. They were keeping it pretty clean out there. And then in the O-zone, like, he was just creating left, right, and center. All 5 players in the ice super activated when he was out there. So he's been awesome since the return of the break. It was my standout stat of the game on the Friday post game was that it was his career high. No, not career high, season high in ice time in that game. Obviously, there were a ton of power play attempts for the Jets, so that impacts it for sure. But his second highest ice time in the game was the Montreal game right before the break. So there's clearly a little bit more trust that's being placed on this player. And I also think it can't be overstated either that or can't be understated, overstated. It's too early that the first unit of the power play looks much better with him on it than other options as well.
Right. And I think him going off that top unit was fair at the time because, again, for the first 2 months of the season, like it was kind of a write-off for Cole Perfetti. But for him to come back and look at the way he's looking right now, awesome. And you brought up the time on ice there. I think it's half, or maybe it's more, they are trusting him because he's one of the few guys that's actually like going right now outside of the top line. So they're leaning on him a little bit more. He's getting more power play time. So it's just kind of out of necessity. Like no one else is really chipping in. Some of the depth scoring we've talked about all season long. It's kind of there, but not really. And yeah, it's something that we'll have to keep watching going forward with Cole Perfetti. And Lyss, you brought up some of these trade rumors. It was Nick Kyprios this week who mentioned that the Winnipeg Jets have received calls on Cole Perfetti. Now,
I'd be calling too.
I think now is a good time to remind people, not that people need the reminder, but ahead of the trade deadline, Wayne Gretzky's been traded before. There are maybe 3 untouchable.
Don't let me go down this route. Don't let me go down this route. Keep going.
All I'm going to say is there are maybe like 3 untouchable players in the entire National Hockey League, and it's probably like
0.
I don't think there's 0 because who are you trading Macklin Celebrini for?
Like, it's not a 1-for-1 sort of situation, but like there are so many instances. Like it's a market. It's a commodities market. You could put together any package in the world that you want, and there's always a way to make one side have surplus value to the other. A 19-year-old Hart
contender is untradeable. I'm sorry, but that like you can give me 8 first-round picks. I don't care. He's a 19-yeart-old who's probably going to win.
He'd be the type of guy that it would be more so like depending on what team you are. Like if you could build the perfect like multiple team trade that's like all these established existing players that you could plop into, like I'm sorry, you could put together a Connor McDavid package and do a couple things that would make sense for San Jose to trade him.
But like realistically,
no, I know. That's why I'm saying. But yeah, I will never ever like this whole idea. It's people like, oh, should the Jets trade Cole Perfetti? I understand why we ask questions like that, and I understand that you have to keep things short, keep it concise. Should X team trade Y player? Yes or no? I'm never answering that question. What's the return?
Right.
Sure.
Exactly.
They could trade him. I don't know. Like what's the conversation here? Trades are significantly influenced by what the other side looks like.
Exactly. So that was kind of going to be my spiel. Like when we're sitting here talking, we'll move into the trade deadline now and what we're kind of expecting from the Jets. But like Cole Perfetti's name pops up in trade talks and everyone online is like freaking out. Well, it's like, what if the package is really good coming back? You know, like
is it what Seattle who's talking about? Like, what if it's like a Matty Beniers, whatever? Like, hey, pick up the phone and have a listen, man. Like, just
what if it's Brent Bellamy here says offer a 2C. Like, what if it's a long-term solution at 2C? Well, then are you listening?
There's
like
so many conversations you can have. Yeah,
and I think that extends a little bit. Like Morgan Barron is someone who this season has built the reputation of like a guy who's standing out and playing well in the bottom 6 and all of that stuff. And he's cooled off. He cooled off in January and early February. And now coming out of the break, he's still, I think, kind of cooled off or not heating back up, we should put it. But he's a guy that like, yeah, he has an extra year of term left. What if the package is great for Morgan Barron? What if you're getting offered a first rounder for Morgan Barron? Yeah. Like, I know people don't like Barron's a good story this year, all of these things, but looking at the entire Winnipeg Jets roster, who they're in 28th in the league, there's not a single player on the entire roster that I'm like, I'm not trading him under any circumstance. Like, I know the organization probably doesn't want to move Hellebuck because he's going to get a statue one day and he's awesome and Hart Trophy, all of this stuff. But it's like, there's going to be things available if there are. So you need to, like, Cole Perfetti getting calls, I wouldn't freak out at that because it might be Seattle offering Shane Wright plus. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know. I'd consider that, you know? So I don't know. I just wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit before we got into the trade deadline stuff because there's one. I mean, I think there's one, maybe 2 untouchable players in the entire league, and one is Celebrini, and the other is McDavid, just because they're not trading McDavid, kind of thing.
But they might.
They might in 2 years when his contract's
in
up, but
2
that's
years.
different.
Yeah.
That's more
No,
like
for
Quinn
sure.
Hughes. Like I think then yeah.
Because Quinn Hughes, you
This
could
is
almost put in
something.
that same category.
This
but
is like
whatever.
a Bill Simmons topic that we could debate like forever.
Oh my
of,
gosh,
like,
yeah. Oh
how
yeah,
many
yeah.
untradeable players are there in the league? Like,
Do you want to do that later? That sounds fun.
it does sound fun actually. But
yeah,
looking at
no,
the
but I
Winnipeg
think
Jets,
that
there are next to none. So where are you at on this team? Like a week till
well,
the deadline or less?
I think the thing is for me, you talk about the Morgan Barron, you talk about the Cole Perfetti. I put those players in similar categories where it's like, have a listen, right? Have a listen. What do people, see in those players? What do they want to give you in return for them? You have a listen on those. I don't kick tires on Morgan Barron. I don't kick tires on Cole Perfetti being like,
tires.
I need to find the right package to get this guy kind of out of here, whatever. That mentality, though, does need to be applied to the pending, unrestricted free agents the Winnipeg Jets have right now. If nobody is calling you about Logan Stanley, start calling them to see what, it would take to kind of make something happen there. I think that that's the difference between these types of players. They all should be on the table and you should be having discussions about all of them if teams are looking for the discussions, but you only have so many people in your front office. You only have so much time this week. Focus on the players that are, going to be walking out the door in July anyway. And those are the ones that, you really need to start, being proactive about creating the packages around with trade partners and stuff. If someone comes to you with an offer about, anyone else on the team that's not a pending unrestricted free agent, you definitely have a listen, but the priority needs to be looking at how you can move every single one of those pending UFAs out there if you can.
Well, Lyss, that group of Winnipeg Jets players took a hit this week because Vlad Nemeskov is week to week with a lower body injury coming out of that Anaheim game with the collision with his knee, or just we'll leave it at lower body because I'm not sure that it's actually his knee. But that's a player that has one extra year of term, and we thought maybe at the deadline, a team like Columbus reunite him with Bones kind of thing, that could be something. Nino Niederreiter coming out of the Olympic break is still week to week, right? So are these players that have this extra year of term now just completely off the table because they probably won't be healthy next Friday, right? So that's another thing to consider here. We're like, we want the Jets to focus on all their pending UFAs that aren't coming back and try and get whatever value you can for those players. But when it comes to the extra year guys, like Morgan Barron is still there, but Nino and Vlad are both week to week now, and that could really change things from the buyer's perspective. Like, I don't doubt that the Jets will still be entertaining offers on those players, but from, let's say, Columbus's perspective, it's like, oh, we want Vlad, but how healthy is he really? And that might change the value a little bit because they can't just plug him right into their lineup. They have to wait for him to get healthy first. So that's something that I think could really alter things. Lyss, how much action do you think we actually do see? I know we can sit here and talk about like what we think the Winnipeg Jets should do and all that stuff, but when it comes to deadline day and it's 3:00 and it's pencils down, how many trades do you think the Jets will have made?
I think they're going to be busy.
Really?
I know that you are, and this is something that I was hoping that we would dive into today. I know that you're the president of Nothing Ever Happens FC, but I genuinely think that, I think back to the Andrew Kopp here and all this different stuff. Like, I think the Jets get it. And I feel like the thing that nobody is talking about, people are talking about it, but I feel like it's not being spoken about as much as it should be, is where the Winnipeg Jets are at, draft lottery, just get into the playoffs, this, that, whatever. And people are talking about, okay, like wild card situation. Like, I don't think we're talking enough about what the Central Division looks like in this conversation. And that's the most important variable to me, where it's like, you don't have a path here. I'm so sorry, but take a look at that Central Division. There is no worse path to be in the National Hockey League right now than someone who has to go through that wild card gauntlet in the Western Conference and go through the Central Division. There's no reason whatsoever to make active roster decisions to try and get into that for 2 games of playoff remain. I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Just to enforce your point too, like I know coming out of the break, Huss was saying on the big show, like, oh, don't look now kind of thing. Like LA lost twice, Seattle lost twice, the Jets won. oh, maybe the door is cracking open a little bit. Well, the Kraken beat the Canucks last night because other teams get to play the Canucks too. You know, like the Jets beat the Canucks. They're not the only team that gets to play the Vancouver Canucks, the free space on the bingo card. And their playoff percentage is back down to 6.4%. It went up to 9.3 or whatever for a day because they got a point against Anaheim and all of this stuff. And then like Calgary played LA last night. LA won, and Calgary's more in the Jets range of things. But like again, someone has to win that game. Nashville got a point on the road against Dallas. Like these other teams are playing too.
Yeah,
they would need to lose 8 straight, and the Jets would need to win 6 straight.
Hey, it's possible
at the same time to make something happen, right? So like a team like Seattle, it's like, oh, they lost a couple coming out of the break, but then they get the Canucks on their schedule. Oh, so that's a free win, and the Jets burn a point against Anaheim. So you're right back to where you were. When they lost the 11 straight games, they were 11 points out. I think they're 10 points out right now.
Yeah.
And they've actually been playing
yeah.
pretty decent hockey since in terms of like points percentage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the thing that's it's a really difficult, like you watch the way the standings ebb and flow, like it's a lot of difficult ground to cover. And the thing that I always say, and spoiler alert, this is what, if you guys subscribe to my newsletter, we're talking about next week, is the whole concept of just getting into the playoffs. And we need to stop thinking about the idea of possibility in the same way that we think about the idea of likelihood. Okay, you take out, and I know I shouldn't be dogging on the spreadsheets here because I'm the spreadsheets girl, where it's like, oh, this is how many games they would need to win in XYZ. It's possible. Okay, what about the team's behavior makes you think that it's likely? Because that's always the thing, right? Where it's like, if there are certain variables that are, significantly improving, and this is what's happening across the league and all this different stuff, and this is why it's likely, that's a different conversation. Possibility means nothing to me. The way, we talk about standings and points or whatever, you could sub out Winnipeg Jets for 31 other teams the way you're talking about it, and you're just talking about raw standings climbing percentages and whatever. What about the Winnipeg Jets makes you think that it's likely that they're going to go on X type of run that they need to, and that it's going to reflect in the standings in the way they need it to?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Connor Hellebuyck in the gold medal game, he's the shackles are off. He's amazing now, right?
There's so much
Came
more.
back and
There's
got
so much more.
5 spot in Anaheim.
Yeah.
No, but
so I think it's
Elliot
interesting
Freeman's
for sure.
clip this week was like, oh, I think in Winnipeg they think this is maybe a bit of a turning point for Hellebuyck. And then going into last night's game, it was like so obvious it was just going to get lit up. And
it's not the year. It's not the year, right? And
you talk about the likelihood.
You
talk about the likelihood. Say they go on a run and they get Colorado in the first round. The only way they beat Colorado is if Connor Hellebuyck posts a 965 save percentage over 6
and Nathan
games.
McKinnon is haunted forever. I don't know, but
Nathan McKinnon is scared.
And like I'm not a believer. And like, listen, I understand the Central's a gauntlet, but I'm not like, if you're the Dallas Stars being like, don't buy this year because like look at how good Minnesota and Colorado are. Not them. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you're like a wild card Central Division team. Like that's who, like Utah even, I would go so far as to say like they're a bit different because I think that there's some value in the like soft buying to show your players that you're invested in them and you believe in them because they're young and they haven't, like, I get that. That's the Ottawa Senators model of whatever. Like I sure, go for it. I don't really care. But I think you have to look at the Winnipeg Jets for what they are and where they're at and what kinds of assets they have in the tank kind of across the board, whether it's in their prospect and pick cupboard, which isn't plentiful exactly. And then also assets wise, what they have for, pending UFAs that might be of value to other teams. They also have a couple of those considering what the buying market is going to look like. I was hoping that in the past couple of days coming back from the Olympic break, we'd start to get a better picture of who's actually going to be, making some purchases and who's going to try there. I still don't feel like I have a good finger on the pulse of what the buyer seller market is going to look like team wise. So I think that, the Winnipeg Jets, that bodes well for them, that they should be one of those New York Rangers, Chicago Blackhawks, whatever teams that's like, yep, doors are open. Come on in, open house 1 to 3. Here are all the things that are available to buy. I think that, it works so well for them that the teams that are also in the the selling camp don't exactly have the most, can you say blue chip players? I know you say blue chip prospects when you're talking about these super desirable young players, but in terms of the desirable pending UFAs, on teams that are actively going to be shopping them. We have the Nick Schmaltz conversation is no longer really going to be a huge thing. The Alex Tuck conversation might not be a huge thing. Sorry, not Nick Schmaltz. That's not who I was talking about. But some of these players that at the beginning of the year, the Kempes, whoever, that were like, hey, this could be an interesting UFA class if nothing happens this year. Everyone gets extended. Nobody, that's the two things, right? Nobody didn't get extended. Everyone got extended. That was interesting. And then 2, nobody is really crash and burn selling. So that makes it a prime market for the Jets to start shopping their guys, even if we don't see them as super valuable. Trade deadline market, the value of players can just shift so drastically based on, supply and demand of what's available.
Yeah, I think I'm more on nothing ever happens FC, as you said off the top. I think maybe Stan gets traded. Schenn gets moved. Luke Schenn definitely gets moved. Nyquist and Pearson, maybe one of them do, one of them don't. Taves this week, shout out to Murat Atesh from The Athletic, had a conversation with him and said he's not waiving his no move. He doesn't want to go anywhere. So Taves, take him off your trade boards. He's staying in Winnipeg. I don't know, Lyss.
For real ones, he was never on mine.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. No, I just don't. These are the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think we're going to get anything drastic. Do you think we're going to get outside of the obvious ones that are popping up on trade boards? I even think if Brad Lambert gets moved, that's a shock to me. Just nothing ever happens with this team. It's just going to be maybe Stan, maybe Schenn. See you next year. I don't think it's going to really...
Yeah.
Brad Lambert got permission to seek a trade or whatever months ago. Does he get moved at the deadline? Doubt it. Anyone else outside of pending UFAs? Doubt it.
I only see it in terms of creative packages. I don't see there being a Brad Lambert trade. I see there being a Morgan Barron trade, a Logan Stanley trade, or whatever that includes a little bit more.
Barron is the perfect example of any normal organization would have him. He would be on trade boards, but in Winnipeg, he's not.
Yeah, no, and I get that, and I understand. It's one of those things. It's hey, we can have, hey, everyone, show's over, shut it off, go find the show from November of 2024 of me and you and Jacob, where you guys are arguing about Nikita Chibrikov, who scores 2 goals in his first 2 NHL games. And all right. For anyone who doesn't remember verbatim every single episode of WST Sunday Live we've ever done, first of all, fake fans. Second of all, basically the argument that Connor and Jacob got into was that Connor was hey man, this happens every time a prospect is good, down they go. And Jacob is yes, but we've never seen a prospect be this good, so you can't plug in the precedent of all of these other things that have happened because this doesn't exactly fit that bill. Turns out Connor was right. I get it. I understand. This is, I think, a similar conversation, though, where I struggle to be well, the Winnipeg Jets always do this. This is such a unique position internally of where they're at and externally where the market is at that I don't think we can be here's what the Winnipeg Jets have always done and this is how we're I think it's too different of a circumstance to put a blanket assessment of what they will do. I'll believe it when I see it. Don't get me wrong. I think there's fully a chance that you're quite right, but I would expect them to have a pretty busy next 6 days. I really, really do.
I disagree. I think it's going to be quiet in Jetsland. I think Luke Schenn's going to get moved for a 4th, and Logan Stanley's going to get moved for whatever he gets to move for. And maybe Nyquist, because he's been moved at the deadline a million times in his career.
So funny.
And see you next week.
Yeah, I guess my thing is even that, I think if the Jets make 3 transactions, I'm okay with where they're at, whatever, as long as one of them is Logan Stanley. I think that's the most important one, that you absolutely have to do something there, because that's your only one that has legitimate top return potential. And I think about it though, if you have a team that's looking to kind of shore up their depth on the blue line and all this different stuff, but they also have their first and maybe some other stuff where it's Brad Lambert or someone like that, or really any of those young guys, that's a huge upgrade if you're one of those teams that's in kind of their, Montreal Canadiens-esque kind of early contention window or whatever you want to call it. I guess Montreal's a bad example. Someone who's maybe a year or two further on their kind of playoff trajectory than Montreal is. But the whole idea of upgrading a 2026 or 2027 first round pick to a 2023 or 2024 first round pick just to kind of accelerate what the youth can do for your lineup because you want, the ELC efficiency or whatever next year as opposed to in 3 years from now. Like that's the sort of deal that I want to see the Winnipeg Jets make where it's like, use what you have and try and find a way to kind of maximize these packages that might be out there. Because I think that we need to see a little bit more of that kind of across the board. The whole idea of, moving prospects and picks in and out to kind of get that max efficiency and max contribution to your winning lineup is something that I feel like is underutilized a little bit in the NHL, where it's like trading a 19-year-old prospect for a 22-year-old or whatever. Like we should see more of that, because if you want guys to actively contribute to your lineup kind of right now, I think it's super plausible that we see a Jets package that includes Stanley and then some for a team that's kind of trying to think ahead about what they want their group to look like and not just be, strict buyers and then not do anything for their team in 2-3 years from now when they've kind of got depleted cupboards. So I'll be interested to see if anything happens there. But I think that's the main one. If anything happens, that player extension or standing pat on him, maybe this is a bit too aggressive of a take. One of the worst asset mismanagement at the trade deadline. I know you're a huge believer in last year keeping the first. That was a huge problem for you. I almost think this could be worse, just in terms of what you leave on the table, what it means long-term to the depth and the cap and all this different stuff. If you end up extending him, I don't know. I think it'd be one of the worst asset management decisions that the team has ever made, to be honest.
I'm with you on that. I'm fully with you on that. And because he's there with Taves off the board because he's not waiving his no move. He's their highest value pending UFA, and he'll have value to teams around the league. Like he will absolutely have value for the size. And
also, sorry, case in point, I just need the whole points or a usage stat. I actually can't get over the whole buff up his trade kind of value a little bit, toss him on the top pairing, toss him out there with Connor Scheifele, a couple of like easy secondary assists.
Oh yeah, against Anaheim, like the phantom secondary assist where he blasts it into a defender's shin pads and it just trickles to Mark Scheifele, and then Scheifele gets it to Connor and it's an assist. So funny. It's like obsessed. Yes, we're pumping up the points.
I love
Absolutely.
It. So good.
Yeah.
Put anyone out there with that line for a couple of games just to try and jack up. That's why, hey, Gus Nyquist, get him back out there this week, man. I better see him, Connor Scheifele, Nyquist in Anaheim or in San Jose this afternoon.
They're trying him in overtime, Nyquist, in Mr. Game 900, getting out there in OT. That was quite something. But it's going to be very interesting to see what the Winnipeg Jets do at the deadline this week. And I know some people in chat want to talk about a full-fledged rebuild, like a full-fledged tank, trade Hellebuck, fire sale. You talk about me being nothing ever happens FC with I don't even know if Tanner Pearson's going to get moved this week. And we want to talk about Connor Hellebuck. I don't think it's not going to happen. A. B, if it did happen, it would be a summer thing. And I still don't see the Winnipeg Jets doing that. They want to compete every year. They believe in this core. So I don't think it's worth discussing a full-fledged rebuild because there's next to a 0% chance that it actually happens in this market.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if this is based on anything. So someone in the chat can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of a single National Hockey League team that has traded 4 players that have 6 or more years left on their deal in one go and iteration. The whole idea of a full-fledged rebuild that would require probably a Scheifele, Connor, Pionk, Hellebuck, maybe Velarde trade. That's what a full. And he's only got 2 years left or whatever. Certainly,
right.
But the guys who actually genuinely have all that term kind of still locked up. I don't know if we've ever seen that in the National Hockey League. Every single, what you do is you just kind of trade those guys off one as they're, coming up on extension and stuff. And then you kind of set fire to the rain kind of thing. And I don't know if we've ever seen that where that many players that are signed long-term get shipped out all kind of in one go. I don't think that that's not just a Winnipeg Jets, nothing ever happens FC. That's the National Hockey League, nothing ever happens FC.
Yes, I think there's a much higher chance that the Winnipeg Jets this summer trade next year's first round pick and like a buy and add to this group as opposed to trade Connor Hellebuck and sell. I think there's a much higher chance of that happening. Yeah. So they make their pick, say they win the lottery and get McKenna or Stenberg or Verhoff, or they're in the top 5. They get Chase Reed, right shot defenseman, who's projected to go in the top 5. He goes number 5 to the Winnipeg Jets. I think it's more likely that then the next week they trade their one and add a second line center or add a top 6 forward or a middling pair defenseman or someone to play with Josh Morrissey, all this stuff.
Think of how many winning teams you've seen in the last 20 years that have, 1 or 2 ELC level players or 1 or 2 guys who end up making so much bank, in 2 years after that, cup run or whatever, because you got to have some versatility in that lineup, man.
Yeah. Like I think there's a much higher chance of that happening. And I see some comments like, well, believing in this core is the problem. And that's a fair debate. We can debate that. I'm just saying the likelihood of the Jets giving up on this core is the likelihood of me ever playing in an NHL game.
Yeah, it's so pretty low, small that it's almost not worth our time. You know what I mean? It's like, we can sit here and talk about, and that's not a dunk on anyone but the National Hockey League, where it's like, we can sit here and talk about, the Logan Stanley extend versus stand pat versus trade, whatever, because all of these things are fully within the realm of possibility. The idea of and the same way that 2 years ago, we were talking about, what a double kind of trade would look like, Scheifele's coming up, Hellebuck's coming up, whatever, that's a very real possibility. As soon as those players sign on the dotted line, I don't know, man, I think it's so outside of the realm of, what's likely that I have barely even thought about it, because outside of the what if the Jets got Connor McDavid, kind of not pipe dream, because I'm not saying that it's what I want either, but just it's that outlandish of an idea to me,
For sure. And debating the success rate of rebuilds and stuff like that, again, it's a topic for another time, and it's not something that the Jets are going to be doing anytime soon, let alone this week at the deadline. So, they're going to believe in this core, and they're going to try and run it back next season, and I'm very sure of that. And if they don't, I'd be shocked. And next week at the trade deadline, if they do anything that affects next season in any way, in terms of trading for a player that can contribute, or taking on Andrew Mangiapane's salary, who has an extra year left. I think that is likely to kind of thing where they trade for next season to load up again next year kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see what the Winnipeg Jets end up doing, but that's kind of where we sit going into the deadline, where the Jets are one of the teams that gets viewed as a seller. Obviously, they're 28th, 27th in the National Hockey League. They have a number of pending UFAs, but those pending UFAs are also the reason they're in the spot that they're in, because a lot of them have largely been ineffective all season long. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of value they can get for those guys, and if they get value for them, and if they end up moving them. What's kind of your final prediction on a Stan trade package list?
I don't think it ends up being much of a bundle, and I think that it borders on first round or equivalent. I think it's I
was going to say
standard,
second
pretty
and
bare
a
bones.
B+ prospect or B prospect,
something like that. I don't know if we necessarily see a 1-for-1 Stan first rounder. We might. I think it's especially if they kind of wait and hedge their bets on that a little bit, and someone gets a little desperate. I think it's still fully within the realm of possibility, but I think a second and a random, a Fabian Wagner type prospect sort of thing. I could see.
I don't know if Fabian Wagner's a B prospect. Not to throw it astray at 9:52.
I guess maybe he's a B prospect in the Jets pool, where all of their A prospects are actually B prospects in the grand scheme of things, kind of thing. Maybe second for a Colby Barlow or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. We'll see. We shall see. It's an interesting
What
conversation.
about you? You can't just ask me the question.
I said
and then not
second
answer.
and like a B prospect.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. You said
That's
first round
actually good.
equivalent, and like that's kind of where I'm at too. If they trade him for a
Totally.
1, wouldn't be shocked. If they trade him for a second and a prospect, wouldn't be shocked. If they even
Yeah,
trade him
then maybe
for
would I say
a second and a third, I wouldn't be shocked. You know, that
I
kind of thing.
think
So
the exact value of a third or less would surprise me at this point. I think just Logan Stanley for a third, just for a fourth, just for a fifth would be probably a bit surprising to me. If you start going player for player in terms of like a prospect or a player, then I don't really have a guess or a value, whatever, because that's just so case by case. But yeah, I think that's my kind of final trade. And also, I do want the record to show that I am a firm believer. I know there's been so many extension conversations. They are trading him, you guys. That player is not going to be a Winnipeg Jet a week from now.
Wow. Well, okay, yeah.
They're trading him. Come on, you know this.
If they haven't, like, if they keep him through the deadline, and we'll be live on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Tune in. That's all I'm gonna say.
So I'm gonna text Huss and say if Billy Handel is part of a trade package on Friday, you got to get me in there immediately.
We didn't even talk about Billy yet today, but anyways, maybe we can do that in.
There's nothing to say.
Well, it's projected as per our good friend Ken Wiebe on the Winnipeg Free Press that he's out of the lineup today, Lyss.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment of the Billy Handel run this year?
Don't ask me that. All of his 11 minutes of ice time in 2 games at 9 p.m. starts. Yeah, no, cinema. We're not talking about Billy right now. I've done that enough.
No, we can't. Anyways, let's move on we're going to do trending up down in a moment. We're going to do one burning question a little bit later on as well. But first, let's get to our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. Now, Lyss doesn't know what the Power Poll is, so it's going to be a bit of a surprise, and she can react to the list. But first,
it's Billy Handel at top moments.
Yes, Billy Handel at top moments from the run. How did you guess it? I'm kidding. All right, let's get to a quick shout out for our friends over at Chud's Power Sports. They still have a ton of great deals going on right now, coming out of the winter as we get into March, and hopefully the weather takes a turn a little bit for the better in the coming weeks here. But they have a number of deals going on their website right now. The Polaris deals are still in effect. The Polaris sales event, all of these things available at chudspowersports.com. And as I've said throughout the year, if you want the great service of Chud's, they've been serving Manitobans for over 80 years out at the corner of Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli, where you can find all of these great deals and get the service that you need for all of your power sports equipment needs. So they have everything over at chudspowersports.com. If you can't make it out there, off-road vehicles, equipment, motorcycles, all of these brands. You can see all, like motorhomes, trailers, so many power sports needs can be filled over at Chud's. And if you're on their website here, I've said this the past couple of episodes, this red button, e-commerce store, takes you to truenorthparts.ca, where they have a ton of equipment that is heavily discounted on clearance, all of those things, t-shirts, hoodies, goggles, helmets, more accessories available at truenorthparts.ca. So for all of your power sports needs right here in the province of Manitoba, head to Chud's, corner of Highway 8 and 231, or check them out online at chudspowersports.com. Now, Lyss, my Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for today is top 5 teams around the NHL that I think should be buyers. And like, the pressure on them to buy ranked 1 through 5. So like
the pressure on them to buy, not
if this team doesn't buy, I'll be the most shocked 1 through 5.
Okay. Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just listed it top 5 teams that should be buyers.
Okay.
Edmonton Oilers come in at number 1. You have Connor McDavid at $12.5 million.
Yeah.
You went out and got Tristan Jarry. You try and move out Andrew Mangiapane's salary and bring someone else in. But like these next 3 years, you got to make something happen if you're the Edmonton Oilers. So I think there's a lot of pressure on them to buy at the deadline. Number 2, Carolina Hurricanes. Now, they get this for me because the past number of years, they just haven't gotten over that Eastern Conference Finals hump. And they're great, but it looks like they're going to be on a collision course for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And the Lightning are loaded. They've been so hurt all year, but it hasn't mattered. They're just so good up and down their lineup. So I think Carolina is a team that really should look to add because they need another piece to get over that hump. Number 3, the Dallas Stars. Now, Jason Robertson, pending RFA. Mikko Rantanen is in year 1 of his long deal. You have Heiskanen, Lindell, you have some older guys like Duchesne, but Sagan, the Sagan injury is what skyrocketed them up this list for me, where they've ruled him inactive for the rest of the season. So they put him on LTIR, and they essentially have $9.5 million to add. You get $9.5 million to add of a year of Heiskanen, Ottinger, Rantanen, all of these guys' primes. You should be a buyer. Number 4, Minnesota Wild. They go out and make the move for Quinn Hughes, and I'm still not convinced that they're the best team in the Central. The number 5 team on the list, I think, is, and the best team in the NHL. So to me, if they want to get out of that second round matchup that we're all projecting, I think they need to be a buyer as well. And as you'll see, Liz, the top 3 teams in the Central are 3, 4, and 5 on this list because it's going to be a gauntlet for those first 2 rounds. But whoever comes out of it, I think could be the Stanley Cup favorite going into the Final Four, right? Like one of those 3 teams is going to make the Final Four, and one of them, or to me, one of them, it's going to be either them or Tampa, is going to be a Stanley Cup favorite in my mind. So Minnesota, because of the Quinn Hughes contract, he only has a couple years left. You need to maybe impress him to stay long-term, all of those things. I think I don't know if they have the assets, but I still think they're under a lot of pressure to continue to buy. And then Colorado, they're so loaded as a team, top to bottom, that's why they're number 5 for me. When they're good, they go for it. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to try and make a big move, a big add. They moved out Sam Girard's salary this week for Brett Kulak. They have a ton of cap space. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to make a big move. But I put them at 5 because I just don't think they need it as much as the other teams. Like Edmonton is struggling right now. Like I think they need it if they want to win a Stanley Cup this year. Colorado, I don't think necessarily needs it as much, but another move could put them over the top. So those are my top 5 teams that should be buyers at the deadline this week. Lyss, your thoughts? Is there anyone, a glaring omission from my list?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you nailed this, to be honest with you.
People in the chat are saying Buffalo. I have time for that.
No, see, here's my thing. No, my thing is the Eastern Conference is so silly in that every single team, you could be like if they chose not to buy, you'd be like, I get it. With like other, like Tampa Bay, where it's like, hey, you don't have all this kind of going on and your team is so good and you have experience, like you can get away with it. Other than Carolina, I think a lot of these other teams, it's like they're kind of riding the vibes right now and they don't have the Edmonton Oilers pressure on them. You think about the Penguins, you think about the Islanders, whatever, where it's kind of just like happy to be here vibes. So I understand why people say that about Buffalo, but like this isn't necessarily Buffalo's year. Like this isn't, you have 2 years left of Connor McDavid, you got to do something, right? So I don't see Buffalo
they haven't in the same made category. The playoffs in like 15
I get it. And so that's
years.
why actually, weirdly enough, people are talking about Buffalo. I would put almost ahead of Buffalo in the same tier as Buffalo, Detroit, because Detroit needs to get their act together. And so they're interesting, like cusp teams here, but I completely agree with you on the Central Division as well. I think that Dallas needs to leverage what the Sagan opportunity has presented them. And we know that they're good at that when they have, Jim Nill is awesome and he can make some really, really great moves that work for his roster. Minnesota, I put into a similar category as Edmonton, where it's like, you got a very finite timeline here of what this all-star player is currently locked in for your team. You got to do something to make him want to stay. And the best way to do that, man, win a Stanley Cup. So what are you going to do to go there? And your baseline is high enough that you can. Obviously, with the Oilers, we know that they've been so close multiple years in a row with the same core of players. So, like, it's right there. Minnesota, I agree with you that, like, I don't know how I feel about them kind of depth-wise, prospect pool-wise, asset-wise. Like, I don't know, but you got to try. And I think Colorado, same thing, where it's like you got to show your group that you're invested in them. You have all this space that you can use. They've already started moving some pieces around, so I think they'll continue to do it. And then, Carolina, I think you nailed it as well. So I think this is a good good list. I think it's I don't know, maybe the only other team that I would toss in here is like a Vegas. But it's really hard for me with these like Vegas
already
Tampa
added
teams
with Rasmus
where it's
Anderson.
like, I guess that's true.
Like,
Yeah,
they made their
early
move.
ads and stuff.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, their team is already so different from last year's with like the Marner edition and all this different stuff that it's like you can get like you've made your changes to make your team better already. And that's what the trade deadline is all about, is like, how do we raise our baseline from where our strong team was previously to get them to the next level. And it doesn't have to be done in March. It can be done in the offseason between when you get kicked out of the playoffs and when the season starts, which is a bit more of kind of what the angle that Vegas took. But yeah, I think the Eastern Conference, I feel like there's a lot less like pressure on teams in this same regard that like the Oilers have, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you're totally right on this list. I think this makes a ton of sense. And then, yeah, the Central is just such a kind of dog-eat-dog environment where if you know that one of those teams is going to add, which you do, you also have to add. So it's kind of like a Andy Bernard, Michael Scott, Dwight Schrute finger guns meme where it's like they gotta do something, and if someone else does something, so do you.
Yeah, absolutely. What was I gonna bring up? I was gonna bring up the
Sabres?
Saturday headlines last night. Elliot Friedman. Did you catch the Robert Thomas part?
No.
So Elliot Friedman essentially said like Robert Thomas.
I was touching grass. Sorry.
You put the phone down. It was.
I did.
He had a report that Robert Thomas, like it's maybe more likely this week that he actually does get moved than previously thought. And he said Utah is a team that's in the mix. Utah. Damn. So Utah, they've picked high the past couple of years. That's why they have like Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther and all these great players. They also have drafted the past couple of years a few players high that aren't currently on their team. And they've had like multiple first rounders a few years too. Like Caleb Denoyer was on the Canadian World Junior team this past year. He was a later first round pick, but he's a guy that like you could package him a first. There was another super high prospect that I was seeing, but like you could make a package from Utah, not touching their current roster.
Oh, easy.
Solely based on futures and get Robert Thomas, which is going to be a very hefty package, I might add. But man, if Utah gets 25-year-old Robert Thomas to add to, like, look at...
He's not that young, is he?
I'm pretty sure he's like 25 or 26.
He is 26, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, 26. Like, if they get him to add to the Logan Cooley, Dylan Guenther, like this entire young core.
He fits that group
they need a center.
Well.
They need a center. Like,
my God.
Logan Cooley has emerged into like a top line guy this year, or a 1C, maybe a lower end 1C, but he might even get even further because he's like 21, I think. But Robert Thomas in that team, like again, and you look at the NHL standings at any point, Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, top of the NHL standings, right? Top of the Central. You had Utah. You had Robert Thomas to Utah.
Yeah.
Holy, that's
trading your superstar in division will always be crazy to me. But yeah, I think
that's
the Blues are in such a weird situation where it's like, I remember a lot of the conversation in and around Blues fans last year was it's like, we're early kind of thing, where it's like they weren't expecting to necessarily make the playoffs. This wasn't the year to get, but I think kind of realized it's like, yeah, they were early, like they have a younger core and stuff like that, but it's like, but I don't know if that core is good enough. Even though you're young, like I don't see like in 3 years Jimmy Snuggerud being like the guy. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know how I feel about Jake Neighbors. I don't know how I feel about a lot of their different players and stuff. And I liked Zach Bolduc, but then they decided to trade him out for you know who. So just kind of weird stuff going on in St. Louis that they fully could be like almost like you start a rebuild 2 seasons ago. And then now maybe you start it again. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. But yeah, Robert Thomas is such a good player, man. And it'd be sick to see him somewhere else.
Yeah, 100%. And then earlier on, I saw Brent saying Binnington will go to the Oilers, which I mean,
that's insane. I'm here for it. That's nuts.
It would be hilarious. The Oilers made their goalie move. I think they moved Mangiapane for free this week to someone just to get his cap off the books and then get creative somewhere else to add. But
I feel like they're the type to make like a Logan Stanley-esque trade where it's like, is this really going to help you guys as much as you wanted to? I don't know. We'll see.
Stanley needs to replace Darnell Nurse. Man, I was watching the game yesterday, the Oilers Sharks. It was a 3:00 game. The Sharks ended up winning 5-4. But like the Oilers are just the Oilers, man. Like nothing has changed. Their goalie's going into the corner to grab his stick while Macklin Celebrini is walking into the zone. It's like, well, yeah, Celebrini's just going to shoot the puck in. And their defense is just something else. And then they get down one late. They throw McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard out there. And it's like, please save us. And either they save them or they don't. And it's the same old with the Oilers. They're going to make the playoffs. I mean, I know there's a bit of a question about that. I have no doubt in my mind they'll make it. But, man, it's interesting times in Edmonton right now. With a lot of their players coming back from the Olympics, too. And
because that's my other thing. And I know we need to move on. But, like, my interesting thing is I don't know how I feel about, like, with the Central Division or whatever, where it's like a team could come out of that and win it, but at what cost? Where it's like how I'd be beat to crap and be so exhausted and all that, and every series goes to 7 games, and then all of a sudden they got nothing left in the tank. Like, I don't know, it'd be interesting.
That's why Colorado really needs the 1 seed, and you might think like, oh, they've got it, but actually the gap has closed a little bit the past couple of weeks. Like Dallas,
that was like last year, the Jets needed that 1 seed, and it worked out well for them. They did, yeah.
Dallas is 6 points back, so maybe not as much as I thought. I know Dallas, they did win last night, but getting that number 1 seed would give you the second wild card, and that's like Seattle or Nashville or LA, a team that Colorado can take care of in 4 games, while Dallas and Minnesota beat the crap out of each other for 7. So we talked about that last year as a big advantage going in, and then the Jets and Blues beat the crap out of each other in round 1 as the number 1 seed, right? So it's playoff hockey. Playoffs hockey is just a different beast. So that Central is going to be crazy. Minnesota and Dallas basically fighting for home ice advantage the rest of the season. Let's get to our second segment on the show, trending up, down. This is the part of the show where we pick one Winnipeg Jets player who's trending up or down over the past week of play. For you and I, Lyss, these players are off the board. Last week for trending up, coming out of the gold medal game, we picked Connor Hellebuyck and Thomas Harley. And trending down, you picked the Tkachuk Bros, and I took Colton Parayko. So those players are off the board, not like we'd maybe take them anyways, except for Hellebuyck, because we're back to the Winnipeg Jets, back to Winnipeg Jets hockey. Let us know your picks in the comments down below for trending up, down. Lyss, who do you have for trending up? Start with trending up. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I mean, slam dunk for me. Cole Perfetti gets my trending up pick for folks who were here earlier in the show. First of all, thanks for being here and spending your Sunday morning with us. And second of all, I've said what I needed to say. You guys know how I feel about that player. So when there's an opportunity to talk about how great he is, I will take it. So this is a great week to pick him. He's my trending up.
I'm going to go with Elias Salmonson for a lot of the same reasons. Got his first goal on Friday. Looking more comfortable by the game. The foot speed to me is really impressive. And like Lyss said, I spent a lot of time earlier talking about Salmonson, but he's a player to me that's going to make this stretch run exciting when there probably won't be meaningful hockey being played. Watching a rookie develop and have the rookie mistakes, but have the flashes and all of those things, to me is going to be pretty fun. Now, I usually would throw it back to you, Lyss, to go trending down, but I'm gonna bite the bullet here and take my guy Dylan Samberg for trending down. He had, again, I was watching that game kind of from a distance, not really dialed in, but after the game ended, I was very thankful that I wasn't on the post game because my guy Dylan Samberg was the main culprit on the OT winner. Didn't look great on the Paling goal. Was kind of swimming in the crease on the other goal. Tough game for Dylan Samberg. Now, to me, the biggest takeaway is that I still thought, and you brought this up earlier, that Dylan Samberg looking not like himself in that game didn't really affect Elias Salmonson that much. Like, I still thought Salmonson had a strong game, even with his like security blanket partner in a way not looking as great. So pretty interesting development there if Salmonson can, like even separate himself in that conversation. But I'm going to take Dylan Samberg. I think for the first time ever, I am going to take Dylan Samberg for trending down. You've probably taken him before, Lyss, but tough times for the Dylan Samberg fan club. Anyways, who do you got?
All right. Well, you know what? I think that we got to complete the foursome here of our guys, capital O, capital G. My trending down pick is going to be Billy Hanela. I think I think that
I thought he's been good.
I think he's been fine, but he's also he is who he is at this point, and I think that there's a wider conversation to be had. That's not the time at 10:13 in the morning on our Sunday live show. So I think that the reason I'm picking Billy Hanela this week is, first of all, I truly believed at the end of last season that we had seen, or pardon me, actually, yes, at the end of last season, I truly believed we had seen Billy Hanela's last game as a Winnipeg Jet. So I was proven wrong this week when he suited up against the Vancouver Canucks. But the moment there's even a slightly healthy, also fringe AHL level player healthy, he's the one who gets the boot out of the lineup. It's very obvious that there's not a ton of belief in what this player can contribute at the NHL level at this point in his career. Is it founded? Probably. So Billy Hanela gets my turning down pick. You had a good run, my king. But unless another left-handed defenseman takes a puck to the head or something, you're probably not getting another sniff at NHL action with the Winnipeg Jets anytime soon. So goodbye. You were bigger than the whole sky. But turning down Billy Hanela.
Oh, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry. This is your guy.
This is my guy. I know. Yeah, because I'm smiling through the pain. I'm gonna go sit in my shower afterwards. But yeah,
I need an answer list. What was your favorite moment of the 2026 Billy Hanela run? To me, actually, it was the one breakout pass he had in the Vancouver game. That was my favorite.
To Vlad Nemestikov? Because
I was just saying a breakout pass.
Oh no! That actually, I was gonna say that there was he had a breakout pass where he hit a guy and he turns and he hip checks him nice and he separates him from the puck and he pushes it up to Vlad, and Vlad carries it and then runs into someone in the neutral zone or something like that. But it was such a good use of physicality, and it was just so calm and collected and poised. And I was so true, Billy. Good for you.
Yeah.
But, that was
another underrated one. He got out there with DeMello, I think, on an ozone shift with the Scheifele line and had a few puck touches in there too.
Well, I know, and I feel like every single time I saw him on the offensive blue line, taking a shot or making a nice pass or something, would end up on Vlad Nemestikov's stick. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. Man.
Yeah.
What's happening? It's going over. Yeah.
I think
nice down low pass and down it goes to Tanner Pearson. You're like, all right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or across the blue line to Luke Shen. Just not a lot of options out there.
Yeah. I actually liked the way Billy Hanela played in the two games.
I did too.
I'm disappointed that he's projected to come out of the lineup today. I really am. I hope he gets back in because, again,
I hope he gets traded because same.
I hope he gets just get him.
I've had enough.
Get him some minutes somewhere else, man. I mean, again, I thought he managed the puck well, and the puck moving is his number one thing. I thought he did that well. So I don't know. Anyways. We'll see if someone does give him a chance. Like Brent says, I hope someone gives him a chance. We'll see if it's the Winnipeg Jets. But as I've said a few times on this episode, there are some things that you can bet on the Winnipeg Jets to do. And one of them is to play Billy Hanela for a game or two and then take him out. So that is projected to happen today. I'll bring up the lines in just a moment here. For Ken Wiebe, he was on the road yesterday. The Jets skated in Anaheim before flying to San Jose, and it looks like that Billy Hanela will be coming out of the lineup. And Ken did have a few other updates as well when it comes to the injured players
injuries
list
and stuff.
Yeah. So here it is. Arneal said Scheifele didn't skate in the in the practice. I kind of got banged up at the end of OT in the Anaheim.
His placeholder was Colin Miller. So I'm not
the top line was Connor Miller Velarde. So again, he's hoping to have him in the lineup today. Arneal said it was a maintenance day yesterday at practice. Nemestikov, lower body, week to week coming out of that game. Niederreiter, lower body, had surgery, still week to week, but did have surgery. And then Walker, Dewar, and Hayden Fleury will draw into the lineup Sunday versus the Sharks. So that does mean that Billy Hanela is out. Walker Dewar, who's having a strong year with the Manitoba Moose list, he's into the lineup. I think he's playing with Jonathan Toews. I'll try and find the lines here in a moment. But there are your updates, courtesy of Ken Wiebe from the Winnipeg Free Press, who is on the road. And yes, here are the line rushes. Connor, Miller, Velarde. Wonder if that one will work. No, I'm just kidding. It looks like a placeholder for Mark Scheifele. Perfetti, Lowry, Iafallo. I've actually liked that line. And Adam Lowry,
Absolutely
I don't think we've
same.
talked.
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked enough about Adam Lowry on this show, but maybe we can a little bit later on. Nyquist, Taves, Dewar, Koepke, Barron, Pearson, and then the defense pairings: Stanley, DeMello, Samberg, Salmonson, Fleury, and Shen. So that is your projected lineup for today. Again, projected goaltender 2, I'd say Connor Hellebuyck. That's not confirmed though, but I would, or maybe it is confirmed. I didn't really see.
No morning skates, so I mean,
No morning skates. Ken did tweet yesterday that Hellebuyck looks to be getting the start. He took the warm-up shots at practice, all of those things. So I think you can see Connor Hellebuyck today, Hayden Fleury today, Walker Dewar today for the Winnipeg Jets. Let's get to our final segment of the show list. One burning question. This is the part of the show where we open up the chat room for questions and we try and rapid fire through as many as we can before we wrap today's show. Lyss, my one burning question for you is, did you watch SNL last night?
No, I didn't. I did not.
You did not. So Connor Story, the actor who plays Ilya Rozanov in Heated Rivalry, hosted
Correct.
SNL last night.
Right.
And it was confirmed that the Hughes brothers were going to be there because, you know, the U.S., they're doing this like press tour with their gold medals, all of that stuff. They were there. But the surprise was that Hillary Knight and Megan Keller showed up. And you'll have to check out the video list because I thought it was a nice moment for them.
No, I watched it. I saw the clip.
Okay. Yes. I thought it was a nice moment in a week of terrible moments for those two, especially Knight and Keller. They got some jabs on the guys. The one part was like, oh yeah, it was going to be just us, but we thought we'd invite the guys too. I thought was good. There was the part where Quinn Hughes said, yeah, it was our first gold medal in 46 years. And then Hillary Knight goes, yeah, it was our first one since 2 whole Olympics ago. And the crowd went nuts. So I thought it was a pretty nice moment. I don't know if you watch the video, your thoughts.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been an interesting week with just discourse around those players, those teams, just everything. I think there's been a lot kind of going on. I think the big thing for me just this week has been, it's kind of sucked that the accomplishment of this borderline dynasty of, you know, American women's hockey and what this group of players has done. And, you know, you mentioned the gold from 2 Olympics ago and everything like that. Like they've just been, they're such a cool group. They have some cool young players that have kind of emerged as difference makers in that lineup as well. Like it's just been really, really cool. And it sucks that like kind of all the conversation around them has turned into talking about the men's team when it feels like, I mean, it's just the ongoing thing of they shouldn't have to speak to or apologize for, make comments on other people's poor behavior. And I think that a lot of the conversation in and around them has been about stuff that was outside of their control, which has been too bad. So it's been nice to see kind of, you know, PWHL Seattle sold out their game 2 days ago at Climate Pledge, 17,000 people, whatever. Like there's definitely been some pivot to lots of support for women's sport and stuff this week, which has been really cool. So it's been nice to see that. And it's been an interesting week for sure. And so I know that, I guess kind of maybe the only other thing I'll say on that is that, you know, everyone's allowed to feel how they want to feel about what we've kind of seen this week and everything. And, you know, we have conversation about stuff and we all have conversations that encourage growth in different perspectives and we learn. And you and I have had some good conversations. I've had some great conversations with lots of people about how we feel, what we think and whatnot about kind of the entire week of the, I don't know, fallout is the wrong word, but just like everything that kind of came after that American men's gold medal win and stuff. So I think I appreciate anyone who's been respectful with their commentary and opinions and stuff on how they felt about how this week has gone and stuff. So it's it's been an interesting one. And I'm hoping that kind of the step forward is just more, supportive of women's sport and stuff, because it's been cool to see.
Absolutely. And as you brought up here, the Seattle Torrent sold out Climate Pledge
I need to
Arena.
stop calling them PWHL Seattle. I don't know why I keep doing that.
Yeah. Well, they were PWHL Seattle for a full year, right? But yes, they set a new attendance record. That was very cool to see. And we have a PWHL Takeover Tour game coming in about 3 weeks. When is it? March 21st, Lyss, I want to say?
22nd.
22nd.
You're thinking about my event, you know?
Your event is the 21st. Well, limited tickets available for that event, right, Lyss?
Yeah. I think there's like 4 or 5 left or something like that. So it's
gonna be a blast.
gonna be a blast.
Going to be a blast. All right. Let's move on to some of the questions here. Starting with this one from Wesley. Jets 2026 first round picks over under 1.5. I'll go under. I think they make 1 first round pick.
Do you?
Yes. I think they make 1 and Stanley gets traded for a second and something else.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. That's that.
Okay. I will go under as well. Good take.
Okay. I like that. Kenny's water bottle. Has Hainal's inability to become a regular in the NHL with the Jets been due to his injuries / lack of true ability or Jets mismanagement of his development? I think the only right answer to this is a little bit of both.
Yep.
But to avoid fencing it,
if you had to pick one, yeah,
I will say it's more the injuries / lack of true ability. There's a very good argument, and you can take it, Liz, for the mismanagement of his development. But I truly believe that day one of training camp, he was paired with Colin Miller 3 years ago. I truly believe if he doesn't have the ankle infection, that just happens as a pairing and they go into the season and he's the guy. Rick Bowness a few years ago as well said he made the team out of camp and then the final preseason game suffers a broken ankle. Like I think there were those 2 years back to back, the ankle injury right before the season started, and then the ankle infection in camp the next year, I think are the number one things as to why Ville Heinola is not a regular on the Jets, because I think those things prevented him from being a regular on the Jets in that moment. I don't know if you agree.
I actually think that I would personally split up the first 2 parts of the former half of this question. Sure. My order would go injuries, asset management, true ability, to be honest with you, because I think the thing is I understand that everyone has strong opinions about the true ability of this player, but the reality is we never got to see it. And that comes from the second point that I ranked in that list of 3. And it comes from the first point as well. I think that, former first rounder, the trajectory early in his career, like there was something there. That player should be more than he is right now. And I understand that injuries play a huge part of that. And that's why I have them ranked first on that list. But I do think that I fault stuff that was outside of Ville's control more than I do true talent. I think that there should have been more in this player right now than there is. And I don't know if it's entirely his fault.
Nice. Yep. I'm with you on that.
And also just like patterns, right? Looking at kind of the rest of the prospect pool and just kind of the management moves development path of the last 6 years or whatever. It's kind of hard not to draw parallels and comparisons to different players' careers and stuff, right? So it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to say development, and it hasn't been great. I'll just say that. But I do think that the injuries were the number one thing. So
it's the biggest part of it. Yeah.
I think so. Doug asks, who is the first to be traded, Schenn or Stanley? If I had to pick one, I'd go Luke Schenn. But
I agree.
My take on when is someone going to be traded takes a week from the deadline is they're all going to happen on the Friday, I think. I can't see the Winnipeg Jets making a move early. Again, and maybe I'm falling back on this too much, but we'll see next Sunday if I'm right on all of these. But these are the Winnipeg Jets we're talking about. I don't think they're going to be proactive and sit Logan Stanley today for trade-related reasons so that they can move him in a week. Luke Schenn is playing today. I think they're
it's because they have no defense because everyone is hurt and dying.
Kale Clay can play. Ville Heinola can play. Thursday night
offside against Macklin Celebrini.
The Thursday night game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the day before the deadline, is going to say a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If Schenn and Stanley are playing in that game, that's to me an issue. You are 12 hours away at that point from trading them. And they're playing in a hockey game. I think that's risky. But I don't think the Jets.
Tyler Myers is not playing, eh?
Tyler Myers isn't playing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's gonna get traded.
Back to Winnipeg.
I don't know, man.
I think my answer to that question is also Luke Schenn. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Thursday morning transaction or something like that. But yeah, I don't think
the Jets wait till the day of. No.
Yeah, I know.
No chance.
I know.
No chance.
Right. You're right.
Guys, I can picture it now. trade deadline show. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. 4 hours of content, 11 to 3, right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. We're going to be hyping it up, talking about all the moves the Winnipeg Jets can make. And when we get to 3 o'clock, they're going to have moved Shen for a 5. They're going to move Stanley for a second and a B prospect. And maybe Gustav Nyquist for like a conditional 7th. And it's going to be like, all right, what did you think? I don't know.
I can't wait for them to trade Kyle Connor and then you stuff a sock in your mouth.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Not gonna happen. Yeah, I'm preparing to be underwhelmed. That's all I'll say on that. That's gonna do it for us on One Burning Question List. Anything else you want to say before we wrap today's show? I'd let you plug your event, but limited tickets available, so I guess you can still plug the event. 4 tickets left, you said?
No, I think it's more like 6 or something like that. I ended up, we're having an event before the PWHL Takeover Tour game that's happening on March 22nd. So the event's on March 21st. Another thing that's been really cool to see kind of a lot of support this week in particular. I just think that there's a huge appetite for women's sport right now. We've seen some crazy growth in the last couple of years, and a lot of people want to put their money where their mouth is. So they're excited about the game, excited about events surrounding the event, surrounding the game. You know, when I wanted to put together an event before the PWHL game, my big thing was that, you know, a lot of the conversation around the PWHL in the last couple of years has been how inspiring it is for young girls, how cool it is for young female hockey players, all this cool stuff. And I'm like, hey man, I will never make the PWHL, but I think it's rad as hell. And I'd like to be part of, you know, community in and around it. So I wanted to do something that wasn't necessarily for the, 13-year-old girls hockey player. So it's an adults event. We're hanging out. It's going to be fun. Lots of the folks that a couple of Winnipeg Sports Talk regulars, perhaps Connor himself, who's to say, going to be there. A couple of other folks that you guys know. Some really, really cool people are going to be there. Some cool people that I don't know through hockey, that are also going to be there. Okay. I don't want to dox them and stuff, but a couple of just really neat people. Cause I don't know, I'm going to be posting who the panelists are and some cool people like that in the next couple of days. So make sure you're following Chell Chit Chat on socials and stuff, obviously. But it's just interesting that there are people who just bought tickets because they want to be part of it, that I'm like, oh my God, I should be throwing this event for you. You're so cool. Thanks for being here. So it's just going to be such a fun time. It's going to be at Next Door Restaurant. The link is in my bio and all my socials and stuff. So if you guys want to come to the event, I'd love to have you there. And we're just going to be excited about women in hockey. That's, love it. So that'll be cool.
I am fired up for that event. It's going to be an absolute blast and a great way to celebrate women's hockey on that weekend where the PWHL Takeover Tour is coming to Winnipeg. Excited for that game as well. And we're going to be spending a lot of time at Canada Life Center in March because the Jets have an 8-game homestand starting next week. Yeah, PWHL Takeover Tour, and then the Jets come back for 3 more. So, and the Moose, I'm assuming, are at home at some point in all of that.
Yeah, so they're home that 21st, 22nd weekend, right? Oh, okay. That the PWHL Takeover Tour weekend is when the Moose are at home. So
there you go. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. March is going to be nuts. I have my cousin, Ryan, is coming in from California to Winnipeg for the first time next weekend, and he's going to go to his first Jets game. We're going to have so much fun at Country Night Jets Canucks. And so I was like, okay, next Sunday Live is the weekend that Ryan's here, and we're going to be in the stands. Got my fit plan. It's going to be so fun. The next weekend, Jets are at home again. My sister's wedding social is happening, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be an absolute, tired slog at 9 a.m. on the Sunday after that. And then the next one is going to be the PWHL Takeover Tour game day. I'm like, game day. What is happening? March is just gonna, and then the next weekend I'll be in Montreal. So I don't even know what's going on. March isn't real. March is fake. March isn't happening.
Yeah, it's going to be very busy. And we'll have you covered here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. From front to back of March. Rob Mahoney. Not sure why Connor's dodging my terrific questions about whether he flew WestJet, Air Canada, and economy. Yes, I was in economy of Air Canada. I've never flown first class. Have you, Lyss?
Broke behavior. No.
What?
Actually, no. No, I never have. I feel like one time I got moved to the front of. Wait, no, I don't think I have. Something weird happened once where I got a really cool seat though. Maybe I got moved. I don't think it was first class though. I don't
Okay.
remember. No, I've never flown first class.
I never have either. That is not something that I'm paying up for. Although the leg room, I feel like, is getting tighter and tighter on these planes. I feel like I'm getting
And
less
I am so
room.
sick of this whole like this WestJet. My family calls it like the dirt tier, where it's like you can't even make a carry-on and all these different things. So, like, what is going on? Why is it the ultra basic or whatever? Like they don't even try and make it sound appetizing with the level of fare that you get. It's like it's so ridiculous. Did you fly ultra basic? Is that what you like, the one where it's like you don't get a carry-on, you don't get a check bag?
No, I needed a bag for a full week in Vancouver. Yeah.
No, you definitely did. Yeah, I know. I'm like, it used to be like anytime it's like less than 10 days, it'd be like, yeah, just your personal item and your carry-on, like easy peasy. But now you don't even get that carry-on. I'm like, I can't fit it all in a personal bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and like Flair, like they charge you whatever it is, or you go on Google Flights and it says like Flair for like say $400 you're going to Toronto, let's say. And then you go on their website and it's like, no, actually to get a seat on the plane it's another $30. Oh, to get
here are the add-ons and it's like...
to get any bag at all it's another $70. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
insane.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like by far the cheapest when you're looking at all the flights, but then you go through the process and it's like, well, I'm paying more than I am for Air Canada or WestJet or whatever.
Yeah.
We could talk about airport stuff for quite a while. On a Winnipeg show, look at us.
Yeah. I haven't been on a plane in like 6 months. So like I feel like it's like things have changed so much, and I have like 5 or 6 different things that require flights in the next 6 months too. It's like goes from 0 to 100, and I'm like, oh boy, like
there you go.
Can't wait to pack everything. Wear 8 articles of clothing, 8 jackets and stuff, so I don't have to pay $95 for a personal item.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, that's gonna do it for us. I am trying to check something, but it's not. I don't know. Okay, wait, hold on. Here we go.
It's Macklin Celebrity News.
No. It's local hockey story list. It looks like it's Oak Park. But anyways, the high school hockey finals are this week, Liz. And there is a Hrabchak representative in the games. My little brother plays on Vincent Massey. They punched their ticket to the finals last week. And I was just trying to search up who they're playing. Looks like they're playing the number 1 ranked Oak Park Raiders. So the number 1 Oak Park versus number 2 Vincent Massey. Seven Oaks Arena this week, I think. Local hockey.
Cinema. Might have to pull up.
I will be there. No matter what. First game is tomorrow. So, good luck to my little brother, Luca. Crush it this week. Massey versus Oak Park. I wonder if it's best of 3 or best of 5. I'm going to have to get that figured out.
You would know better than I would.
Or best of 7. Just a grueling series.
Or best of 1. Just go out there, have fun.
I can confirm it's not a best of 1. It's definitely a best of 3. But looking
forward to that. Game 1 starts this week? Game 1?
Monday, tomorrow.
Monday.
Yep.
Cool. Very cool.
Fired up for that. So good luck to Vincent Massey in the high school hockey finals. And we got to get out of here because the Winnipeg Jets play today at 3:00 in San Jose. It's going to be me and Tyson Rewicki on the post game later today. So really looking forward to that. Thank you everyone for joining us at 9 a.m. here on today's show. Really, really appreciate it. Brent earlier on said, thank you for the show. Anything that gets him up at 9 a.m. on a weekend must be good. So thank you everyone for the kind comments. Very, very appreciative of everyone waking up early with us on a Sunday. If you're watching on the replay, if you're listening on the podcast, we appreciate you too. Thank you so, so much. And we'll be back next Sunday, Liz, with a full breakdown of the trade deadline. What on earth are we going to talk about? Because I don't think there's going to be much. No, I'm kidding.
Get out of town. We'll have so much to talk about. And even if we don't, you and I have never been at a loss for words in our entire lives. So I'm not too concerned.
It's going to be, it's going to be, if there's nothing, then that's something to talk about, right? That's going to be awesome. Well, anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Thanks for the great wishes for my little brother killing it this week, for Vincent Massey. Go Massey, go in the high school hockey finals. And we'll be back next Sunday with another edition of WST Sunday Live. But before that, today, WST postgame, me and Tyson. Tomorrow, 1:00, right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Huss, Remo, I'll jump on as well. Lots to discuss coming out of this game against the San Jose Sharks. So enjoy the game today, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow at 1:00 right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.